What is going on, everybody? My name is Hayward. I'm the CEO and founder of Coach Hayward. We help women 40 plus permanently transform their bodies, get toned, lose weight forever in a lifestyle approach. That means no more dieting, no more chicken and broccoli, and no more spending hours upon hours in the gym to get results. So today, what we're going to be talking about is how do we lose weight after 40? So ladies, after 40 years old, a lot of you might have found that your weight is becoming a lot more stubborn. It's harder to lose. Maybe you're really struggling with getting that belly fat off, whatever it may be. That's exactly what we're going to break down here today on how to set yourself up for success so you can become the boss of your own body by the end of this training. Okay, so let's dive in here. As always, if you have any questions or anything, you can comment down below and I can get back to you or reach out to me personally on Instagram, anywhere is at coach.hayward. Let's jump into this, ladies. So first and foremost, why should you listen to me? Well, I've been a coach over 4 years now. I've been helping hundreds and hundreds of women permanently transform their bodies. We've helped them through DNA testing, hormone testing, permanent weight loss strategies, the whole 9 yards. So I've kind of seen it all at this time. And you can see my testimonials on my Instagram page, my YouTube, all that there as well, just for proof. I've also been featured in Yahoo, all those things too. Let's dive in here. So, ladies, how do we conquer this weight loss? All right, let's talk about it. So first and foremost, let's talk about what happens to a woman around the age of 40. So usually around the age of 40, ladies, typically what's going to happen at this time of your life when it comes to your hormones starting out is that typically when it comes to your hormones is that your estrogen levels are going to slowly start to decrease. Okay. And it's funny because when it comes to weight loss and weight gain, usually women with higher estrogen levels, it promotes more fat storage. But also it goes the other way around is that when your estrogen levels drop down below, it's usually connected with weight gain as well. The reason being though is not necessarily the estrogen levels itself dropping. It's because of what happens when the estrogen levels drop. So typically when your estrogen levels drop, it's going to affect your metabolism, but also what happens too around the age of 40 is that you slowly lose your muscle mass. So you actually lose your muscle mass before 40, but you really start to notice that, and you're going to start noticing that your muscle mass will start to increase. So maybe you don't have that much of a firm, defined look anymore. So what happens when we lose our muscle mass, if we don't work out, if we don't eat enough protein, when we lose our muscle mass, that's going to kill our metabolism. The reason why you always see when you ever go try to lose weight, maybe your husband or your partner or whatever it may be, they can lose weight much easier, guys, is because they naturally have more muscle mass in their body. So that way their weight loss is easier because they have a way better metabolism. And also they don't have to deal with the hormone changes and like the mind, going against you, right? Like if you have mood swings, whatever it may be, because that can play a factor as well, because that's one of the factors I got listed down here is the mindset side of things, which we'll talk about here soon and how to handle it. So that's what happens though, typically around the age of 40. And then as you know, when you hit your 50s or so, and menopause comes around, that's really when your estrogen levels start to drop down and your metabolism changes. But typically around the age of 40s, that's where you're going to find it happens as well. So what that means is that when your metabolism has dropped down, when it's starting to get slower, you could have the same appetite, but yet your metabolism slowed down. So now you're eating the same amount of food, but you're not burning as quickly. So now it's going to start storing more likely. Okay, more easier it can store. So the first thing you should know about this, though, is that it doesn't matter if you're going through hormone balances, anything. As long as you're in a caloric deficit, a proper caloric deficit, like 99% of the time, you will lose the weight. That's one thing we need to remember here is that at the end of the day, the main key here, if we want to lose weight, it all comes down to calories in versus calories out. So breaking that down. So that's typically what happens. That's the main thing you want to know about your hormones, ladies, when it comes to it. Everything else you don't really need to stress about. I mean, you go through literally hormone balances your whole life. Like that's the thing is like we're always trying to balance our hormones, but we're actually always kind of some sort of way imbalanced. And nowadays with like all these chemicals and all this crap in our society, this stuff is really affecting our hormones, like laundry detergent, endocrine disruptors, things in our food, microplastics, all that crap is horrible for us. So yes, try to eat as best as possible, be organic, and do the right things there. But also by just losing weight, by getting our sleep on track, by getting the right food habits in place, having enough fiber in our diet, all those things there contribute to better hormones and better body functions. So call that like your foundation. And then anything else added on to that, like supplements, etc., that's kind of like bonuses. Okay. But if we just get like our foundation, which are sleep, fitness, get our health on track, our food, everything there, that solves 95% of the problems I've noticed. Okay. So that's typically what's going to happen with your hormones, ladies. Now, the next thing when it comes to the food side of things is typically around this age, you got some pretty good ingrained habits, right? So a lot of you, if you struggle with your weight your whole life, this is where, you got to change those food habits, right? So a lot of time, like people who come to me who want to lose 50 to 100 pounds plus, they probably dealt with their weight their whole lives. And when I notice this is that they have a hard time breaking those food habits. So this is where they need much more hands-on one-on-one work. But also we need to understand that we don't need to make crazy changes in our eating to actually lose weight. We all often think that we should eat chicken and broccoli or take these pills or like starve ourselves. And the reason being is because that's what's promoted all the time, right? Not starving yourself, but like one shake a day or take this pill and that's it, or this gummy and you'll lose the weight. All these false promises, but at the end of the day, it's all BS, because at the end of the day, the only way to lose weight is a caloric deficit, right? So when you take a gummy or a shake, yes, it might make us more full. So we typically eat less food, but the shake itself is not going to cause the weight loss to happen. It's because it makes you full and then we're eating less calories. So then we're likely to lose weight. So we can just skip the shakes and all that crap. And we can just get to keeping full and getting the food on track. And that's what's going to allow us to lose the weight. And we have a much better shot at making it successful because we're just eating the same foods we typically eat, maybe a little bit more protein and fiber and more real food, but that's it. And then that's going to keep us full and we can lose the weight. So we don't need these shakes and all this crap. That's all just BS. They're just trying to take advantage of you, to be honest with you. So that's the hormones though. Now, when it comes to the food side of things, so what that means is basically if you want to lose weight, ladies, after 40, and you're noticing all these changes happen, what we can do is, number one, we can focus on boosting up your metabolism, right? So basically that's with the proper fitness setup, strength training, getting some muscle mass on your body, getting stronger. That's going to help tremendously with your metabolism. So that'll kind of help boost it back up. Same thing with getting your eating. So don't starve yourself, because over time, if you starve yourself consistently, that can also affect your metabolism as well. So make sure you're eating, around, I would say on average, 3 times a day or so is totally fine. You can do 4, 5, 6, it's up to you. Just make sure it's sustainable, but do the things there that'll help boost your metabolism. Okay. Specifically, most of the time, working out is going to be the best bet for you to boost your metabolism. The next thing that you can do, ladies, is that you can work on pushing up your estrogen levels as well, which naturally is going to come through food. Okay. If you get your food on track, certain foods is going to help you. Specifically, certain foods can help you boost up your estrogen levels as well. Okay. So that we can feel better. So I got a few posts on my Instagram at coach.hayward. Check those out. I'm talking about estrogen all the time on there. So if you want to learn how to boost your estrogen levels up, I won't dive into it in this training, but check out my Instagram and you can check it out there. Okay. So moving over. So that's another way to help you when it comes to your weight loss journey and navigating this process. Now, the last thing with the food is just adjusting the calories properly, right? Adjust the calories properly, put in more foods that are going to keep you full and cut the calories back. So that way we can adjust it to where your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, so your metabolism's at rate now. That way we can still lose weight. Okay. So those are the main things that we want to basically adjust around this time if you are noticing these switches around 40, so that way we can lose this weight. Now, moving on, when it comes to the mindset side of things, right? When it comes to mindset side of things, I find typically after the age of 40, this is where you're very busy times in your life. The average woman around 40, you might have kids, you might have a family, a partner, you have a lot going on your plate. Maybe your parents are getting into their older ages, so they're starting to get to that point where you're concerned about their health. You have kids maybe in college or just finishing up high school, trying to deal with them, getting them through all that hectic stuff. So you got a lot on your plate, girls. You are literally like the rock of the family. You really help. I mean, at least in my family, like my mom is the rock. She helps everyone. She puts everyone in place, keeps us on track. She did when we were growing up. So a lot of you ladies, I'm sure you're like that with your kids. But that means that comes with a lot of stress. And with stress comes stress eating, comfort eating. Stress comes, with wanting to just quit, throw in the towel, wanting to let yourself go. Stress comes with being, losing that motivation, your drive. Stress comes with losing your willpower as well, because throughout the day, if you're making all these decisions, trying to keep everyone on track, and at the end of the day, when you finally get me time, you want to almost buy back some of that time, right? And that willpower is going to be very low because of all the decisions you made throughout the day. And then that's when the candy comes in, the chocolate, the wine, whatever it may be, and the things that don't serve us, right? So the mind plays a big role in this as well when it comes to losing weight. One of the biggest roles, because if we can get this on track and we can stop beating ourselves up, we can focus on improving and try not to be perfect. That's going to be a game changer for you right then and there. Now, that's kind of how weight loss is going to work though here after 40. Okay. So that's basically like the main changes you need to know. We're not going to dive into like progesterone, other hormones like that. It's not really as important. That's just the main things that you want to know about right then and there. Okay. Now, when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to belly fat, what you'd want to know there is typically wherever you store the weight is where it's going to come off first. Typically, like your belly fat is the hardest one to burn because it's called active fat. Okay, so your body, basically, your body will burn up the other fat because it's much easier to use up because this is more active fat, so it's being used in other areas, so it doesn't break down as easy as other areas. Okay, so that's why belly fat can be more of a struggle. And also too, just like women as they grow up, when they're younger, your estrogen levels are getting boosted up. That's going to promote fat storage. So that way, one day when you have babies, if you do, your body's ready and prepared for it. Okay. And then after around 50s, when you go through menopause, is typically where your body's fat storage will shift and it starts to store typically in your stomach area. It's really important that we get that off because that's where all the health issues are. If you look at, even stuff with your heart, health issues, diseases, everything all typically really stem from that stomach fat. So we really need to make sure we get the belly fat gone, okay? Not only just for personal confidence and just want to feel good in your skin, but also too for health reasons. Now, breaking this down here. Now, the biggest like most common slip-ups I see whenever I work with clients, so we'll talk about mainly woman 40 plus, is number one, quitting. Okay, one thing we must understand, y'all, is that quitting will never do us any good. Quitting only feels good in the moment when we're really struggling and all we want to do is throw in the towel because we think it's going to be less of a burden. We think it's going to be easier on our minds if we just quit and give up. But the reality of it is that, yes, we'll quit. Short term, it might feel like a relief, but literally within about 2 to 3 months, we're going to look in the mirror again. We're going to get very uncomfortable with our bodies. We're going to be not liking what we see, or we're just not going to feel healthy. We'll have a health scare again. And that's going to be the trigger for us, the motivation burst to try something again. And then typically what I see happens in the marketplace is that we'll do the shiny object syndrome, which means we jump from trend to trend. Keto, shakes, gummies, trying all these different ways to lose weight. And what this is going to do though to you, and this is really important, ladies, is that if we do these like fad diets and we try to cut things back very quickly and lose weight very quickly, if that's what you're focused on is losing weight overnight, it's going to eat up your muscle mass even more, give you a skinny fat look. So you won't look the way you want to when you lose the weight. But then the weight's going to gain back much quicker because when you do quit that diet or whatever, because it's not sustainable, and we start eating like our old ways, the weight comes back. But now, since we lost all of our muscle mass, our metabolism is horrible. So the weight comes back even faster and it's all body fat. So we lost body fat and muscle just to gain all fat back. It's not good. It's a terrible cycle and it's super unhealthy because that can cause a lot of health issues in the future and really, really mess you up because we want our muscle mass. We need our muscle mass. Most health issues, cancer, everything is best battled when we have more muscle mass on our body. It's key. So that's why I'm so against all those products and stuff like that, because we got to make this a lifestyle. Can't be just a diet, right? So that's the biggest slip up though, is quitting. We need to learn how to rest and reset rather than quit. When times get tough, when we're overwhelmed, we need to shift our perspective. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's not about trying to get to the weight loss overnight. You're going to drive yourself crazy if you do that. It's about progressing. It's about getting better. It's about changing our habits. It's about, getting more discipline. So that way, when we do make these changes, it actually sticks with us, right? So that's why we can't skip the steps. We got to do this the right way. All right. And the biggest thing about this is that we don't need to make crazy, drastic changes to get amazing results. And that's a fact. So that's the biggest slip up right there. Number one is quitting. Okay. Never quit. Cross the line in the sand, take it serious, go all in. Number two is when we rely on motivation. So like I mentioned, right, we typically change when the pain of our situation, becomes greater than the pain of change, which means we get to the point where we're so uncomfortable in our body, we're so overweight that we are struggling with our health that we have no choice but to now change, because the pain of staying the same is going to be so bad rather than the pain of actually like putting the effort to change. So that's when we typically change. But then what happens is that we get this burst of motivation, like I'm going to change. I'm going to get healthy. New Year's is coming around. I'm going to feel better. I want to get in my bikini for summer. And we go super, super hard. We start going to the gym constantly. We're on a treadmill. We're trying this newest diet because we're so motivated, right? We do that for about 3 to 4 weeks. Typically, I always say 3 to 6 weeks is like the motivation phase. It'll last us 3 to 6 weeks. What happens then? We start forgetting about our why. We maybe see a little bit of results. So we start getting a little more comfortable. And then we slowly start skipping, falling off track. And then eventually we go right back to our old ways. And then we lose the motivation, right? So we quit. And then we wait for another few months, and then that spark comes up again, that motivation, we try again. It's a nasty, nasty cycle. And what we need to understand is that if we just kept moving forward in those low motivation times, we would have made it. We would have made it 100%. And that's one thing we want to understand here is that next time you're struggling, next time you have low motivation, remember this quote is that with where you're at right now in that struggling period is where 90% of people quit. So if you just keep moving forward, just keep showing up. You don't have to be perfect. Just keep showing up. If you can just do that, you'll become the 10%. You will make it. I promise you, it happens every single time. So never give up and do not rely on motivation, which is number 2. We need to rely on discipline. We need to rely on building habits because when we build the habits first, and then let the habits build you. That's the quote, okay? So focus on building the habits and then let the habits build you. No motivation, it's okay. Set the standard. Set the new standards for your life. We cannot tolerate, like if we don't want to be unhealthy, if we don't want to, be overweight, consider obese, if we don't want to feel like crap in our skin, have no energy, we can't tolerate it. We cannot tolerate it. We need to have more respect for ourselves and our bodies, and we need to say enough is enough. I'm not letting this happen to myself. It's up to me, and I'm not letting this happen. This is not okay with me. We need to set that standard in line. Just like your kids, for example, right? I know for my mom personally, growing up, she had a standard. If I didn't hit a certain grade in school, I'm in trouble. I'm getting in major, major trouble. I had to hit certain grades because that was a standard in my household. I didn't question it. It wasn't anything. I just made it happen because that was the standard that my mom set. So we need to set those standards for our own lives. And like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I do on a daily basis. This is how I eat. And the reason why is because I don't tolerate an unhealthy body. I don't tolerate being unhealthy. I don't tolerate being no confidence in myself. I want to feel better. I got one life here. I want to make sure it's the best. We need to have that mindset. We need to pick that up, and it's up to us. We need to take 100% responsibility and know that, yeah, maybe our past actions got us here, but it doesn't matter. The past is the past. It's gone. What matters right now is what we're going to do today and tomorrow and the next day. And remember, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be weeks where you don't want to go. There's going to be many days where you might not want to go, but it's okay. Show up anyways, because you will never regret going when you get there. So remember this, is that we cannot rely on our emotions, because our emotions, if we go by how we feel, we'll never get there. Because I don't feel like going to the gym ever, y'all. I never do. After work, I want to go sit down. I want to hang out with my girlfriend. But I have standards in place, so it doesn't matter what I feel like doing, because these standards get me to where I actually truly want to go. So this is what we now understand, is that these when we rely on our feelings, we're living for short-term satisfaction, which is like, for example, a gambler, right? They're getting that dopamine hit every time, that short-term little quick fix. But if we hold that off and practice delayed gratification, like working out, I promise you, you're not going to see results tomorrow. But I do promise you that if you continuously go for months at a time, you will see results, and that's guaranteed. No doubt about it. And that's why we need the lifestyle shift. It's not about getting there overnight. It's not about a start and stop approach. It's not about 0 to 100. It's not about judging ourselves harshly and picking on ourselves. It's about self-love. It's about getting better. It's about progressing. It's about working ourselves day in, day out, however that's going to look. Okay? Everyone has to start from somewhere. Just start. All right? So that's a lot about the mindset, but that's the next one. So the next one here is small and useless goals. What I mean by this one is that we cannot just say, like, I want to get healthy. We need to say, like, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to balance out my hormones so I don't have any brain fog anymore. And I want to lose 25 pounds. I want to be this weight and I want to fit in this size. Specific goals like that. That way we have something tangible that we can focus on. We have something like tunnel vision. If we just say we want to get healthy, what does that mean, right? Because if I just drink an extra little bit of water today, I will be technically healthier. So we need specific goals. We can't have useless goals that don't matter because there's no weight to them, right? And as people, we rely best on our emotions. When we have an emotional connection to something like love, I mean, people have gone to war for love. That's how powerful our emotions are. So when you can take your goal and tie it with your emotions, like for example, moms, a lot of my amazing clients who have made amazing change in their lives, they tie their why in with their kids. Caden, I need to lose this 30 pounds because I can't play with my kids outside after work. I'm so exhausted, I have no energy, and my kids are going to grow up without an active mom. That might install habits into them that make them, lazy and not do anything active, and then they're going to struggle with their weight. So, Caden, I need to do this. I need to lose this weight because my kids need this to happen for them. That is a powerful why. You think that girl's going to quit when she's unmotivated? No, because she has such a strong why that is so important to her that every little battle she's going to go through means nothing. It means nothing. So sometimes, y'all, we just don't want it bad enough. And that's one of the biggest things is sometimes we don't want it bad enough. Like when I have clients come to me and they're just like shopping around and they're not really serious about it. And they just want to know about like, okay, well, what's this? How do we get there? So like they don't really care. I turn them away. I'm just like, you're not ready yet. And guess what? We'll never be ready. We'll never be 100% ready, but we just need to cross that line of sand. Okay. So that's a big one there. Now, the next one here is expectations, the wrong expectations. Let's say if you have 10 pounds to lose, right? You're not going to lose 10 pounds in a month. It's not going to happen. If we just have 10 pounds to lose, it's probably not going to happen. Because your weight loss will happen slower than someone who has 60 pounds to lose. Someone who has 60 pounds to lose, they can lose 10 pounds in a month, and that's totally realistic. Totally realistic. I've had clients lose 20 pounds in a month who've lost over 100 pounds plus. So it's totally realistic. Like I've had clients lose 100 pounds in literally less than 6 months. So it just depends where you're starting from, where your body weight's at, your height, everything there. And we have to have the proper expectations, right? I always say if you have like 20 plus pounds to lose, go for about 1 pound to 2 pounds a week. Okay. If you have, let's say around 40 to 80 pounds to lose plus, I mean, you can easily lose, 2 to 3, maybe 3.5, maybe even 4 pounds a week. Okay. 4 pounds is kind of pushing it because remember, you want to keep your muscle mass on. We want to do this. We want to do this right. So just remove the idea of trying to get there overnight. It's good to have, tangible, specific goals, but remove the idea of trying to get there overnight because that will drive you crazy. That'll make you do things that are not smart, not aligned with your goals and what you want to accomplish. And then it won't be sustainable. Okay. The next one here is bullying ourselves. Okay. So this is really huge. Imagine living with a partner, y'all, where every morning you wake up and they're like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're never going to make it, you're too slow, whatever it may be, right? Imagine living with someone like that. You think that you'd be happy? You think you'd like that person? You think you'd respect that person? No, not at all. A lot of us treat ourselves that way, though. A lot of us, we look in the mirror, we hate ourselves instantly. Someone compliments us, we shut the compliment down. We do something good for ourselves, we instantly discredit it. It's like we're our own worst enemy, and we need to switch that because if we don't respect ourselves, we're not going to do anything for ourselves. We're never going to make ourselves a priority. Right. So we need to respect ourselves highly. We need to look up to ourselves. We need to look at ourselves as, worth it because the world will give you not what you want, but what you deserve. Okay. What you feel you deserve, because what you feel you deserve, you will make happen. But what you want doesn't matter. The world won't just give you what you want. So it'll give you what you deserve and it'll give you what you allow. Okay. The world gives you what you allow. Remember that one. So this is why we can't bully ourselves, all right? And a few ways that we do this is, number one, is the assumption mindset. So when you look at someone, you step in the gym, let's say they just stare at you real quickly, automatically assuming that they're making fun of you or they're thinking down on you. That's a mindset of someone who's depressed and anxious that it just doesn't serve you, right? We have no idea what they're thinking. The next one is the 0 to 100. This is when like we go from literally 0 to 100, right? And that just doesn't serve us at all. It does not serve us at all because it's just not real. It's not realistic. Now, the next one is fortune telling. So try and predict the future. I try to lose weight so many times. I don't know how this is going to work this time around. That is already setting you up for failure, right? Other things too is like, saying like, I hope I lose weight or I can't eat this food. Never say I can't, say I don't, because then it'll help you identify as that person who doesn't eat it. And then the same thing as well for the other one too, which I completely forget now, but it's all good. So Those are the most common slip ups there when it comes to weight loss, though. As you can see, those are the biggest things I've noticed here on this journey. That's why I'm so all about the mindset and the one-to-one touch and helping people with the guidance and everything, because that's really where people need the help, right? There's so much information online about food and all that stuff there. People need the most help with that one-on-one guidance, the accountability, keep them on track, and doing this in a way that actually can help them make a lifestyle. That's what we do. So that's the biggest thing for the day's training. Now, the last key points I can help you with here, ladies, when it comes to weight loss after 40 is just try to eat healthy majority of the time, 80-90%. Try to watch your caffeine intake, your alcohol intake, smoking, because all those fat things right there will mess up your hormones. Try to eat more fiber. Try to eat very high protein, because if you're kept full, then odds are you're not going to end up overeating and stress eating, right? So if you can eat more protein, eat more fiber, drink more water, those all three things right there will help keep you full, so you're more likely to eat less food. Now, don't give up the cheat meals. You don't have to do anything like that. Just balance them into your goals. Last one, the fitness. I would recommend just take my fitness ebook because it's so powerful. You can get results in like 30 minutes, 3 times a week. So like 90 minutes of training, you can get some amazing results. Just focus on full body compound lifts and focus on strength, and don't be scared of the weights. The weights are your friend and they're going to help you so much. Fall in love with the process and just focus on learning, just like a skill, just like any kind of skill we've ever learned in our life. Think about this weight loss as a skill to learn, not like a burden, and don't identify yourself with your weight. You are not that number on the scale, okay? You might have fat on you and shown with your weight, but you are not fat. Like you don't have to identify yourself as that, okay? It's just you have fat on your body. It's all good. Last one with the mindset, treat yourself better. Treat yourself better, focus on growth, have that growth mindset, and focus on progression over perfection, and just show up every single day. That's the biggest thing. Show up every single day. If you slip up once, it's okay, but don't slip up twice in a row. Do not slip up twice in a row, because that's a slippery slide back down to our old ways. It does not serve us. All right. So that's training for today. I hope this served you and I hope this helped you. Now, if you do want some one-on-one coaching, you can apply for help below in the description there. There's going to be an application form that you can apply. And you can fill that out there if you do want some help. Otherwise, if you have more questions for me, reach out to me on Instagram at coach.hayward. That's where I'm most active. Ask me any question you want. And make sure you subscribe if you felt like this gave you some value. And I will see you all next week on the next training. See you later.